Eek, eek. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Protecting the Nest. Today is May 26th, and we have the great Carol McIntosh, and Amber is here, but she's dealing with a automotive issue, so she can't be on camera today. But good morning, ladies.
Good morning, John. How are you today in Atlanta? Is it a beautiful day over there?
It is, and it's starting to get hot.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are too. We're up in the 80s. So I have a big adventure today because I was gone all week and we had some baby chicks. They got bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I got home, oh, PU, the house smells terrible. It's chicken coop time. So I had to run out and get a build it yourself chicken coop yesterday. And today is going to be putting it together quick and getting them back out there. They grew really fast. We have 4 of them. So
They
all
do.
3 of us have chickens now, and it is a fun adventure. Amber said hers are starting to make eggs already.
Yeah, and I can hear her rooster every morning.
Oh, that oh, you can. Oh, that's right. She got a real rooster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tara has her rooster. I don't think we have a rooster, but we do have one that's bigger than the rest. But he appears to have become more of a chicken than a rooster as he got bigger. You can't quite tell, when you haven't done it
You
before.
must be eating too much of that Bill Gates corn.
Yeah, maybe. But he's not quite as gigantic as he was compared to the rest. But they're different. We have 2 olives, and but who's really a she, is an Easter egger who makes multicolored eggs. So that'll be fun. And then one that makes Rhode Island red, maybe pink. I don't know. So they're all pretty colors. I like that. Have you ever had chickens, John?
No, I haven't. I grew up on the border between rural farmland and suburbs of Cleveland, and 2 of my best friends when I was young had grew up on a farm, and so I know a little bit. Once in a while I would get to feed the chickens or milk the goats, but I'm not a farm boy.
Yeah. Well, I've grown big gardens. I like gardening. My grandpa grew up on a farm. I think all my grandparents did, sort of. So they were always grew everything, and I don't think he had chickens though when I knew him, but I'm sure he did earlier. But I did learn a lot about his compost bin and how to sharpen your tools. When I was a kid, I'd go stay with him for a week, and my grandma, and they had lots of beautiful flowers, and they built a log cabin. And my dad was building a log cabin at the same time. That's the first house I lived in, but they were 100 miles apart.
Well,
So,
self-sufficiency is a big topic now in many
mhm.
parts of the world, and I think that it's important to get in touch with some local farmers. Everybody in the big city should get in touch with some local farmers and find out what their issues are and how they perceive the government coming after them.
Yeah. And you can get tips to grow stuff. I mean, you can do a lot in the city to be self sufficient too. But here we have a lot of farmers co-ops, and those are self-organized. So I think those will continue, and I get a lot of food from those, and they're great people. It's great to know them. And there's my favorite mushroom man, and there's the Asian greens people, and everybody kind of has their own little niche. There's some goat cheeses, and the one I really love is all year round, and it's real small, so it's not one of those gigantic ones. There's a big gigantic one downtown that is really fun to go to, especially in the summer. And they have lots of food carts, and it's kind of a whole entertainment. It's a whole big event. But this one's just a little tiny, local people right in the neighborhood, some of them. And there's heritage apples grown in people's backyards in the city. In the fall, they have a little apple festival. So it's great. Yeah, those are. I think that's.
Well, I think I told you and Amber and Tara already that I printed up a whole bunch of business cards that said, turn off your TV, but I'm going to do another one that says, support your local farmer, and just hand those out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, if things get worse, and of course we're hoping that there's a solution that'll kind of make it not be terrible, but we don't know what's going to happen. We know the plans are terrible, so we're hoping that'll disintegrate before we have to be completely self-reliant and live in caves with no electricity. But there's lots of fear, but I think people are resilient, they're creative, they like to share, and I don't think it's the end of the world by any means.
No, it's not. And we have plenty of evidence to support the idea that the big dogs are a little bit nervous now because they're having to accelerate their original schedule.
Yeah, the original schedule is not a good one, though. So we're hoping there's some reinforcements, but even if not, I think we can go forward. So that's the good news. But we do have to keep our eyes open. And I have been hearing about this new product that our good friend Bill Gates has developed for us called Apeel. So that's supposed to be just a coating made out of organic materials. It's actually labeled organic. And there are some organic materials in there, but there's all kinds of solvents and yucky stuff that are used in the process, and it's not something that washes off. It's something that sinks in. It can't be washed off, and it sinks into the fruit and vegetables. It's being used more broadly, and I found a couple of little videos just so people can be aware of what the labels look like and how horrible it is, because it's being put in all sorts of stuff now. It's not just peels on lemons and citrus. That's just the beginning. So this is, we know that the food supply is at risk now. So
well, I'm going to bring up that video on
bring the short one first.
Edible food cutters. All right.
I didn't hear what you said, but go ahead.
Okay, here it is, the edible food coatings.
Oh, yeah. That's it, yeah. This is the first one.
That was a very good one. Yeah. How does the organic become known as a quote unquote organic product?
Well, it said 0.06 of it was organic, and so they got to count all the rest of it. What's in the rest? It wasn't even assessed. And I think it's one of those tricky things where they started with some organic stuff. We know grape peels have really good things that's good for us in there. So if you hear that, you think, oh, they made something out of a good ingredient and they're using it another way, and this is fine. It'll help, whatever, make the apple shiny or something. They used to put wax on it, which is a petroleum product, and that wasn't so
Right.
good either. But it wasn't synthetic biology. This is the sneaky thing that's being slipped in all over the place. And there's the other link I gave you shows what's her name, Dr. Rose, talking about more of the details of how it was made and exactly what it does to our bodies. So she does a little deeper dive. And we just need to be aware of this stuff because it looks okay, but the doctor's saying not good.
Well, that's 80% of the battle is getting people in our neighborhood to start talking about an issue, but that requires that a critical number of them know about something going on, and that in your local store this product is being used. Even in the famous Whole Foods, it's being used.
I think it sounded like, from what I read about it, that it's kind of getting a bigger toehold in Europe first, but it's coming here. Here she is, Jessica Rose.
Going around social media for a while, and I need to correct it. It was some chemical cleaning fluid, unfortunately of the same name. So people got confused. But nevertheless, it is definitely dangerous. This is a fruit and vegetable coating. And let me warn you, it can't be rubbed off, washed off, scraped off. And even if you just can't get rid of this stuff. And they're putting it in everything. So prepared foods in your grocery stores, so you think you're going to avoid it? What do you think they're using? They're using their own produce. They're going to put it in pet food. And of course, our pets are little. They have a smaller body surface area. They're going to get sicker faster and die faster. And that's what they want to do. They just want to damage everybody. So here's the deal on Apeel. They claim it's innocent, that it's made from the skins and the stems of fruits and vegetables. What could be bad with that? But they neglect to tell you, Owen, they're made using trans fatty acids, mono and diglycerides. What your body does is construct triglycerides with those in its most innocent form. But those are the kinds of glycerides that advance heart attacks and strokes. Atherosclerosis, which is a collection of fatty acids in the blood, the lining of the blood, your vessels, which cause your heart attacks and strokes. So it's not innocent. And then the way they distill it is by using heavy chemicals and toxic materials that leave their residuals behind. So here's what happened recently. Apeel partnered with a large lemon lime distributor called Limonera. Okay, this company's stock was tanking, and what ended up happening is they've now got the sort of one of the major worldwide rights with Apeel to spray millions of lemons and limes. And in fact, the CEO, Harold Edwards of this Limonera, claims that his goal now, I'm sure it'll help his stock, but his goal is to spray every lemon in.
Okay, I'm sorry, I cut it off there because I ran out of memory on my PC. But what was what's your main takeaway from that, Carol?
Well, it sounds like there are many things in this chemical that can affect the body in ways that really reminded me of some of the damage that the shot is doing too. That it's affecting the heart and the vascular system particularly, but also we know that people that are overweight or have diabetes are more at risk. So the people that are more at risk are going to become even more at risk and be damaged from this. So that was my takeaway. It's just a really sneaky way of adding to. Oh, do you have that other one? What's happening?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. Let's
I'm
play
going
the
to-
second half because it gets into the heart problems. So I thought you didn't have that one, but let's go ahead and she gets into.
I did the second one first. I did the second one before I ran out of memory.
Oh, okay. Would you have the one that was 641 to 946?
Yeah, this is it. Coming up. Can you see it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
To be targeting the hearts. Humans are not easy to kill. Have they learned that just all-out attack on the heart is the best way to try to wipe us out?
Well, I'll take that question first. As a cardiac nurse practitioner specialist, I can tell you that that the heart, the heart and lungs are really one system. But yes, if you damage the heart, I mean, think about it. Everything is dependent on your circulatory system, and your heart is responsible for moving blood, oxygen, nutrients, all kinds of things, healing elements, valuable lymph materials to keep you healthy through your system. So you attack the heart, you're going to disable people quickly, and you're probably going to kill a lot of people. So it's very astute of you to make that connection to the heart. But in general, I do think it's about taking people out. And I also think it's about disabling the rest of the population so that, we wipe out the middle class. We wipe out all that's beautiful about America, which is, working hard and creating our own value and wealth and health on our own. They want us to be dependent. But getting back to the technical aspects of Apeel and why can't you wipe it off or wash it off? The insight of that question is brilliant, because when you think about it, that's intentional. If you really wanted to use something innocuous and safe, you would formulate it so that people would have a choice, or they could peel it off. Maybe it's in a sort of a container that had that ability to prevent rotting, maybe that prevented oxidation and bruising and things like that. But no, we have a chemical here that is sprayed, literally liquid spray on, but adheres to it, most likely soaks into it, right? And we're not stopping. Well, let me let you know, they're not stopping at lemons and limes and avocados. Those are the first fruits and vegetables to be hit. They are going to go after strawberries, asparagus. And when you start to hit very delicate skins like strawberries, raspberries, asparagus, it's going in, my friend. I mean, it's 100% going in. It might take a little bit longer with the peels. By the way, the peels of lemons and limes are incredibly valuable to your health. There are people that have advised us, freeze your lemons and limes and then just shave those peels into your food, because there are health benefits to it, health maintenance benefits, improvements if you're under cancer treatment. It's just absolutely amazing. So what they've done is they're kind of boxing us in. They're damaging the food, making you sick with this, as you said, this new wonderful technology. And then not precluding you from being able to protect yourself from it. So I say, get yourself off their grid, get yourself off the dependence of these major, food producers, and you can grow them even inside your own environment, inside your own.
Well, we're not getting any sound here.
Protect ourselves on.
I'm sorry about that.
Area.
So
we can control them.
Yeah, I would say.
I'm sorry. Let's go back a bit. Go ahead, Amber.
Yeah, I was going to say, after this, I have a couple of videos that have to do with a cleanse. And one is an email that I sent that it has to do with not regular exercise. It's just an email on its own. And the other one is a parasite cleanse. But yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of Carol when she's done with all her videos.
Okay. Did you send it to my Proton mail or to my Research Roadshow email?
Proton.
Okay. I'll look again for it. Let's go with finish up this video. I think we got one more minute here.
and then not, precluding you from being able to protect yourself from it. So I say, get yourself off their grid, get yourself off the dependence of these major, food producers and these big box grocery stores. You got options. Grow your own. You can grow them even inside your own environment, inside your own house, depending on, you don't have to be in Florida or in the tropics. You can do a lot of different things. You can make friends with farmers and say, listen, I want direct from your field. I want to buy direct from your field. Those are the kinds of things that people should be doing now to protect ourselves, Owen, so we can get through this period.
Yep.
So we can control them.
Yeah, I would say, just to expand on that, either befriend local farmers, get, know who's like-minded at your local farmers market, or like you said, just start growing your own stuff. It's easier than you might expect.
Well, I know that we have to not only join forces with local farmers, but we have to allow. Hello.
Hello.
Okay,
We can hear you.
I see you guys. We have to also join forces with local experts in IT and data storage, because Amber's last 2 emails wound up in my spam folder. All right.
One of them is just pictures of my rooster, 2 chickens, and our first eggs. That's the Twitter one, and the other one is a love poem that we could play towards the end. But yeah, quite a few of these are mostly about healing after all this crazy crap they're doing. So I'm so glad that Carol is showing you videos of what they're actually adding into our food. And I'm so glad Carol and I were on the same page yet again.
Yeah.
About doing doing your own gardening, taking care of your people, making sure you have the resources and that you're self-sufficient. But at the same time, she's got the cause, and she's got like what they're doing, and then I've got some ideas for how to keep yourself healthy. So yet again, we're on the same page. This is so weird.
No, I think it's normal, actually.
It is normal. It is.
Yeah, that's what we need to realize.
We need to start saying these things. The connection is normal, and the disconnection is not normal. And then that's a better way to put it.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's our first 2 eggs.
They are.
And then if you could enlarge the picture of the rooster, he's hilarious. John, you probably hear it a lot. He gets up in the tree.
I hear him.
He gets up in the tree and like threatens anything that like gets in his way. So those are the 2 chickens. That's Sweet and Sour. And our rooster is named Cluck Norris. Cluck Norris. Yeah. So we've got, and he does act like Cluck Norris. Like anybody gets near his chickens, he does not like it. And they love him and they clean him all the time. And he struts. They're all very young, and so they are very much so into their territorialism, and they are as chicken as can be when it comes to like these are my women. I've got their back. It is so cute to watch.
Well,
and the next one
4 now.
The next one's the poem.
No, we'll do that towards the end, but it's the one that's the Ho'oponopono prayer and the parasite cleanse with the big 6. I put parasite cleanse and big 6 together because they go together.
Okay.
Well,
that's in a separate email.
I also wanted to just say that there's a lot more things going on with our food supply than just this new product by Bill Gates that, we found out with our research how much the mRNA is being used to actually vaccinate people by their food source. And this is being put into the actual cells of the plants, the crops that are being grown. So there's a lot of stuff happening through synthetic biology that's real similar to what's already hurting people. So this is not good. And any sources you can find that, we know that where the people and that's not what they're using, the seed stock, the growing methods that are Monsanto or similar from the oligarchs. They're trying to hurt us. Okay,
Yep,
here we go.
I have a red hat that says "Make America GMO free again."
Yeah. Yep, we're
That's
going
great.
in the wrong direction.
I'm help you right now. Forgiveness.
Can you hear it?
It's breaking
It's
up.
Did you
doing
hear
that
the audio?
thing. No, it's doing that thing
Not
it always
very-
does, John.
Yeah, not very well.
Yeah, with TikTok, I've had very little success. That's why I
How
have
about
to
if?
put them
How
first.
about if I?
Worry
How about?
and anger.
If you what?
How about if I take that video and I put it on my Twitter and then I email you it from Twitter? Does that work?
That'll work better, right?
All right, I'll do that now.
Okay, but I'll read it. I'll read it aloud. Let's see. Well, I can't do very much. You can read on screen as well as I can. I'll just turn off the audio.
Did you know that we're actually designed to live between 170 and 180 years old, but most of us die between the ages of 70 and 80? And did you know why? It's because of unforgiveness that's trapped in our heart. We carry sadness in our lungs. We carry unforgiveness in our heart. We carry worry in our stomach. We carry fear in our kidneys. And we carry anger in our liver. So I learned this from a guru of mine. And it's a technique to get all of those emotions out of your soft organs by using the Ho'oponopono prayer. The Ho'oponopono prayer is simply, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. So if you just tap your body all in the front while you're laying in bed before you go to sleep and you say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You do that 5 times before you go to sleep tonight. You're going to feel so much better and you're going to release that trapped trauma. And the first time you do it, don't be surprised if you start to cry. Don't be surprised if emotions come up and they start to come out. You're releasing all that trapped trauma from your entire life that you've held onto for so long.
That's beautiful. And I know some background to the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'd love to share it.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, this is the traditional religion in Hawaii that was there, before they were taken over, and it was preserved on the island of Kauai. And there was a practitioner who had studied this, and he had become a psychologist, and he got a job on the Oahu at the it was the psychiatric prison ward where all these horrible, murderers and criminals that were just locked away forever were incarcerated and not really treated. And he wanted to work there. And this had in the past been this just horrific place where, people who worked, nobody ever got out. And the people who worked there just would go crazy or want to quit. It was just really, really stressful. But once he went to work there, he wasn't interviewing anybody. But he would just go in his office and then he would come out. But slowly over time, and it wasn't even that long of a time, prisoners started to get better and they started to be released. And finally, when the whole place was practically ready to shut down, they said, "What are you doing in there?" And he explained that he was taking each file in his hand and saying that prayer over it. But he was absorbing all the trauma that was in these files, their house burned up, their parents died, whatever, all this horrible trauma had created these insane criminals. And he was praying over each file, and that person would get better. And that's what he did for months and months in his room. So it's very, very powerful. And I think there's a little bit that the prayer is powerful in itself, but the idea is to really feel the emotion. So it's emotional and from your heart and from your head at the same time, while you're taking responsibility for what into yourself for what happened. You're accepting responsibility as a part of humanity, that
Right.
that idea of taking extra responsibility towards healing. And this is what happens to a lot of healers. I think they can often end up taking on that responsibility and getting sick. But in the Ho'oponopono, I'm probably not saying that, practice, there's also a release for that, for the person who is doing the prayers and the healing. So it's really amazing. I can't remember the guy's name. I do have links to his story, his website. It's, of course,
will you send it to me, Carol? That is
yeah,
so
I will,
intriguing.
because I've always loved that story. And I felt, when I got involved with George and John and everybody, I felt that's kind of what they're doing. They're taking extra responsibility to heal everybody, and that's what it takes. It takes all of us putting our intent and our emotion behind what it is we're doing.
And the next video is the parasite cleanse, and then the big six. Those two go together, so people know what the big six is. So, John, they're back to back.
Before we go to that one, I want to make a comment on the prayer. The first person that introduced me to this idea was Anthony Rapepi back in Albany, New York. He was around early 60s at the time, and I was a college student. And we were in a club together, and he had done something, being in Albany, which was filled with corruption back in the 80s. He had done a couple of things that he really wasn't proud of and that really, really bothered him. And he told me, and I'm still wondering why he chose me to tell this to. He told me that he had done some of these things, and that he, at a certain point around age 45, he started to feel the need to come clean. And he described what Carol was describing, this this whole opening, outpouring of grievance for one's transgressions, and that always stuck with me, always.
Yeah, I think it's more than just one's transgressions. I mean, many of us have connections to the deep state through our older generations before us. There's stuff that happened. It's not just the present. It's also the deep past that created why we're here. So we all have to be a part of that healing process.
And we have to heal ourselves before we try to heal others, or it's just not going to work. And so that's why I like that prayer, because you're healing yourself, and then you're clear enough to actually help others.
Yeah, and it truly works, even in desperate situations. Yeah. Because my daughter's Native American, I'll tell that story later. Let's listen to your TikTok.
Alrighty, this is doing parasite cleansing. You want to grab this drink, right? You want to get one of these two drinks right here. So that is quinine. That helps break down the biofilms, which is one of the most difficult things to do. And it also makes cells permeable. So it's really good to take with the herbs, especially because it carries more of the nutrients into the cells. And here's another supplement that you guys should get. NAC. It's an antioxidant. Helps the liver. and it helps break up the mucilage that's built up within the body, kind of like hardened lymph system or a stagnant lymphatic system. It helps liquefy basically that system and helps you move it out. And don't forget to do the big 6 to help move it all out.
Okay, now play the big 6, because the big 6 will tell you exactly what to do, and you pair that water with NAC with the big 6, and you'll see a big difference.
Come on, TikTok. Stand by 1. All right, here we go.
6 by Barrington. And these 6 must be done in order for optimal lymphatic flow. And here, starting with number 1, we have the clavicle. So rub above and below the collarbones on both sides. And we begin with the clavicle because this is the part of the lymphatic system where everything flows into. So the drain must be cleared in order for the sink to drain. And number 2 here is behind the jaw on the neck. Just give it 5 rubs, and then bring them down to the clavicle area where you just drained. Now, the lymphatic system has no pump except for the diaphragm. This is why the Wim Hof deep breathing works so well and makes you feel so good, is because it's moving the lymphatic system. And number 3 here is in the armpits. Now, going back to the deep breathing, typically the lymphatic system pumps 5 to 8 times a minute. But after you begin to do this process, the lymphatic system will move 30 to 50 times per minute. And number 4, you're going to put your fingers together like so, and just go about a knuckle depth within to the, starting at the sternum and working your way down to the top of the belly button. And then this is where the lymphatic system splits off here into 2 larger trunks that work down to the legs. So this, just give them a few rubs, 5 times one direction, 5 times in the other. And the gut is the largest holder of all the lymph nodes in the system. So definitely work this area if you have congestion, slow bowel movements. And number 5, we have in the growing area. So just bring these up towards to the stomach. And then number 6 here, they're behind the knees. Just bring them up a few times, and then you're gonna turn around and you're just gonna shake it all out, shake out your body and get everything flowing and moving to start your day fresh. And don't forget to go fill out the free list of symptoms so you can find out which area of your body that really needs the most work.
All right.
That was great.
I know, I love it.
Well, the one thing that I learned about the lymph pump was the one he didn't talk about, but one of the main pumps is your ankles. So every time you walk, you're pumping your lymph, and that's why one of the reasons walking is just so wonderful. It's also, it goes from side to side. You know, you're switching your balance, and that's really great for your brain.
Well, Carol, now it can be called the big 7. See, 6 is not a complete number, and 7 means spiritual perfection. So you add it in the ankles, but then if you go 8 and you add in the walk, 8 is new beginning. So actually, the big 7 turns to the big 8, which is why the Bible says do things in 7s and 8s. So you got spiritual perfection. But on top of that, when you first start this, it's called a new beginning, which is a new beginning for your life. So I think that's perfect because you made the 6 into 7 and to 8, which is great.
I was talking with a Christian in Atlanta a few days ago about forming new habits. And this is a good one to start with, because most of us keep doing the same things day after day. You get up, coffee, etc. You do the things you did the day before. This is a good one, a good habit to get into. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it right now, or as soon as you get out of work.
Yeah, that doesn't take very long. That little video was what, 3 minutes or less?
Oh, yeah, it's a quick thing. And if you do it every day, it just becomes a habit. That, and when you go to bed, the Ho'oponopono prayer, you're up to like 5 minutes of doing something, and it can change your life drastically.
And other people's lives, not only yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, excellent advice.
There's another, so I've got a couple more videos. One is about the movie Nefarious and why Rotten Tomatoes is giving it a bad rating, but everybody else who votes on it, it's got a 90% rating. But just, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't like it because it says a particular thing. So I'm definitely going to go watch this movie. But yeah, so maybe play that. And I think I've got 2 or 3 more really short videos.
Well, Amber, I have a movie preview too. I put.
Ooh, awesome. You want to do
Yeah.
yours first? Why don't we do yours first?
Okay, it's To the Great Awakening, which is part of the Plandemic series that Judy Mikovits did, but she's kind of like a snowball gathering momentum. So there's a lot more people involved in this one, and it's got a really dynamite beginning. But it was really great. I got to meet her, and she and Judith Ferry
Judy
Baker.
Mikovits?
Yeah, Judy Mikovits was at the one of the presentations. And so both Judys had never met each other, and they both played that role of, the lab tech person for doing these horrible things, really almost exact same role. So that was wonderful to get them together. They really connected, and Judy Mikovits had some resources that she really wanted to share with Judy Ferry Baker to help her increase her book sales, since Amazon has just cut her out. So they have her kind of collective of doctors is getting together to solve some of these problems and get the word out. So it was a wonderful meeting. Yeah, it was at Robert Tannenbaum's presentation, which was really, really great. So I'm typing up all those notes and I'll share them with everybody.
Great. Well, what was the intro to you said it was Judy Mikovits's new film?
Yeah, it's her new film called The Great Awakening. I sent you the link. It's a trailer. Do you want it? I can put it in the chat if you didn't.
In the private chat, because I'm not finding it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very, very glad that Judy Mikovits and Judith Ferry Baker got a chance to meet finally.
It was epic.
A milestone. That is a real milestone.
Yeah, and they really connected. It was really terrific. Also, what had just happened was Robert Tannenbaum, who had done the sort of re-look at the Warren Commission in 1976. He was on the charge of that whole committee, and his initial report was Oswald there's no way possible. And then he went through all the evidence that showed, the ballistic evidence that the person that was in the book depository was impossible to be the shooter. And he was told after he made his presentation, told the findings to whoever had charged him with that committee. They said, well, you're going to have to change it, and he just quit on the spot. He said, what do you mean? This is the outcome. This is the truth. I'm not going to change it. And so he's been marginalized for that, even though it is in the archives, in the record of our government. His presentation is there, but it was minimized. So that's what there's one other thing. He connected with Bobby Kennedy, had called him the day before and he didn't realize Bobby Kennedy was aware of that it ever got that far. Bobby Kennedy Jr. He didn't know he knew about it, but he did. So they connected, and he made that presentation to a big group of people just 2 days later. So there was both the Judys and the Roberts connecting. 2 Judys and 2 Roberts.
Did you find it yet, John?
It's not playing, but I think that's it.
Breaking news, the president declaring a national emergency.
The new stay-at-home order.
We will shut you down.
Don't think you can get on a plane or a train.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
And we will take you to jail.
We've got to get them vaccinated.
Or we will keep you in a facility longer.
As the world was descending into synchronized tyranny, I began to ask myself, how did they get everyone to go along with this?
Oh, it feels so good. I know.
Obsessed with finding the answer, I began studying every moment in recorded history where masses of people acted against their own self-interest.
Explain what was happening in society.
Screw your freedom. You're a schmuck.
Was what is usually referred to as mass formation.
Here we are now with an economy in crisis, but with an incredible opportunity.
Unprecedented opportunity.
For a reset.
Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us. We need a great reset.
When they say, you'll be happy, what they mean is, you'll be enslaved.
Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale.
Who masters those technologies will be the master of the world.
Those who control the data control the future, not just of humanity, but the future of life itself.
Every aspect of our life has been infiltrated by people that do not have our best interests at heart.
There are forces using fear and isolation to induce mass psychosis.
I don't want you to be hopeful.
Environmental doom. Fires.
I want you to panic.
Storms. It will kill your children.
I want you to feel the fear I feel every day.
People are starting to wake up. Starting to wake across the world.
I'm seeing people come together from all walks of life, finally saying enough is enough.
We didn't come here for no reason. We have a voice and we're here to share it.
We have to be the solution. We cannot rely on the media, the president, or whoever to fix these problems.
I would rather pick up cans on the side of the highway than to live out of alignment with my truth.
We're all being driven back to the dream.
As you see in the audience, Democrats, Republicans, white, Black, everyone all in between. This is the example that they do not want to see, but they have no choice.
The masses of humanity have been slapped awake. Open your eyes.
It's time to wake up.
Yeah, so that's fun. We're moving forward, and I think that movie is opening. It may have started already.
Something is concerning me about that, because some of the people that are saying we need to wake up are some of the people that encouraged a lockdown and manipulation. So is it coming from the angle of seeing how devious people who pretend to help you are willing to go when it serves a deeper purpose that has nothing to do with your self-worth? Or is it mixed where it shows the actual people trying to help versus the people who are impeding and causing more issues? What's your take, Carol?
Well, I think it's definitely from the point of view of the people who want to point out those lies. But I agree with you. There are people involved that are questionable. And I haven't seen the whole film. I don't know. But I think it is definitely trying to open people's eyes to, some of the stuff we see. Now, whether or not there are some people that are also trying to do the no trust operation, where you just break things down and then come around back in to lead everybody, the white knights. That's the part I'm not totally sure, but I am sure that most of the people involved in this have good hearts and are trying to wake people up who haven't been yet, and that's important for taking the next step. We can't be divided in half. And I think I don't know, where we are with that numbers and accomplishment, but it is growing, it is snowballing. But we just want to make sure that it doesn't get the end run at the end with the wrong leaders. So that's a concern. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, that's what this movie Nefarious, the clip I want John to show her what somebody's saying about it, because what is this to be as this movie where this guy supposedly is possessed and full of demons, but he's arrested. And the guy is in there interviewing him, and the negativity, like the what we call the darkness in the world, is speaking to him and is laughing at him because he's saying everything we set in motion, you guys fell for hook, line, and sinker. And we got exactly what we wanted. And you thought that you were getting rid of us when all you did was fall straight into what we wanted you to. And now you're surrounded by so much darkness, you can't even see it.
Yeah.
And so, like, this was like, whoa, I've got to see this movie because I want to see its angle as well. But it looks very intriguing to me.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think keeping the critical eye at all of these presentations, especially, and the thing about the trailer, to me, that I was making similar questions in my brain is just how Hollywood it is. That makes me a little nervous, but it doesn't mean it's from a bad place necessarily. So we just need to keep raising those issues, Amber. Those are good issues.
Yeah, I always like to see the angle because we typically, if you have a good heart or you want to see the best in people, you're kind of vulnerable to someone who will lean towards your sensitive side to sell you a story or something when they really don't care and they're going to take advantage of your kindness. So it's kind of like you have to have the mind of a serpent, but the behavior is a lamb. So you have to understand typically the behavior of somebody who's a predator. And you have to make sure that you're not vulnerable to it, but you have to be open enough to actually meet those who are good and to hear them. So you have to like open yourself up, but not into the point where you can be victimized by it, if that makes sense. But here,
it's the sheep in wolf's clothing.
Yep.
You know, we just got to keep peeking under the sheepskin and seeing who is there.
Layers and layers of sheepskin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the nefarious thing, and tell me what you guys think.
Okay.
Local movies that has come out this year, and I'm going to play you a clip, and I want you to take a wild guess as to why Rotten Tomatoes is tanking their views. Rotten Tomatoes gave the movie a 31%, while the audience rating is a 96. Some backstory: the guy in the orange is possessed by a demon, and the guy that he's talking to is his psychiatrist. They're trying to figure out if he's making up the escape the penalty.
Do you really believe that, James?
Yeah. We've never been freer. Literacy is at an all-time high. We're working to eliminate racism, intolerance, gender inequality. People can love who they want, be who they want, do what they want. Diversity is no longer a dream. Hate speech is no longer tolerated. And politically, we're reclaiming the moral high ground.
I think I love you. Literacy, James. James, the average high school graduate reads at a 6th grade level. You have basketball players making $30 million a year decrying racism, all while wearing sneakers made from slave labor. Now, here's something for you. Right now, your world currently has 40 million slaves, more than the Romans had at the height of their empire. You want to know the best part, though? Half of those, half, are sex slaves, James. As for hate speech, well, here's some irony. We didn't even come up with that one. You did it all by yourself. Sometimes you amaze even us.
I fail to see the humor.
Bottom line is you're done. It's over, that's it. And we did it all right to your face, James. And now there's evil everywhere. And no one even cares.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Proving that we achieved our goal. Slowly, with your movies, your TV, and your media, we desensitized you, redirected your worldview to the point that you can't even recognize evil when it's right in front of your face.
So even just from that, let's just say I'm not shocked to know that Rotten Tomatoes is purposely trying to give them bad reviews. But if you're like me and had never heard of this movie until this video, you need to go see it. It puts everything, the way that you view the world, spiritual battles, in a completely different view. And this was the only movie that I've ever seen that I walked out of the theater dumbfounded.
That was good. That was a really good clip.
Especially when it talks about slavery, because you've got people that are thinking they're healing the crises of the world by like kneeling at a ball game. Meanwhile, the clothes that they're wearing was made by slaves. And it's like, okay, there we go. And so the fact that it's called nefarious, I was like, boom, it's really great. So I'm going to try to figure out where to see it. And then I'll kind of give you a review of the good, the bad, the ugly, what I saw, the things that I make me think. Because here's the thing. When you're encompassed with things that are dark and not good, you tend to want to run the opposite way as fast as you can. But that pendulum swing is just as dangerous, because then you go in the opposite way that teaches you dogma that's very dangerous as well. So then you could feed into something that's going to be opposite, but equal to the dangers. You have to tread lightly and take with it the things that are absolutely true and work on those things very focused. And spread that message in a wide way to cancel each one of these things one at a time. But you have to be careful not to feed into the full dialogue, because when that darkness sees that you're waking up, it gives you the opposite view with darkness on the opposite side. So never enjoy the pendulum at its height when it's in its full swing. You need it to be stationary. Oh gosh, the traffic. You need it to be stationary. You don't need it to be moving. That's when a pendulum's not dangerous. It's just sitting there, right? And that's the way we need it. We need the balance. And so, yes, I want to watch movies like this. I want to see how we counteract, but I don't want to fall for the same trick over and over. Do you see the obnoxious horns? People have lost their mind. Sorry about that, guys. There's a couple other videos real quick. Let me figure out which one.
One about Jim Carrey, because that really piqued.
Oh, you got muted. You hit your mute button.
I'm gonna play this clip by Jim Carrey.
Okay, after you do that, because that was like one of the last ones. But if you like it, go ahead and play it. But I just want to make room for 3 short ones after that if we have time.
Okay.
Actor.
I don't think word to assume that the people who are charged with our public health any longer have our best interests at heart all the time.
I say, why would a doctor not want to know more about something that could save a life or prevent a disease? I don't understand.
The AAP is financed by the drug companies. Medical schools are financed by the drug companies. This is a huge business. Vaccines are the largest growing division of the pharmaceutical industry. $13 billion.
They control medical schools.
For years now, talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh, and stuff like that, make you happy and docile, so you don't know what's really going on. And they just start making stuff up.
Yeah.
Like that Neil Armstrong guy. Have you seen him on the talk shows? Neil Armstrong, you mean the first man to walk on the moon? Talk about a fish story.
Yeah.
Man, and they're buying it.
Okay.
I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and find, and here I am.
They're celebrating.
You got to admit, it's completely meaningless.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating icons, boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons.
That was really good. I love that one.
So the 3 that I want you to play is the one that's like focusing on research. Let me give you a backstory on this. So you know how when we're researching something that's super important, but when light gets shine on it, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of other noises and things to distract us. We need to be like this dog in this video. The dog doesn't wake up until a particular sound, which means until that research is poking in on that particular thing you're looking for, ignore the noise. Ignore all the stuff around you that's getting you off the path in order to solve the problem. Because as soon as, the things that want to oppress and suppress knowledge and that are exploiting human nature see that people are on a path, they will throw a bunch of noise. So you've got to be focused. So I loved how like turning that idea about how people research and how to focus into exactly what this dog does. It's super cute.
Okay, here we go. That's perfect.
So like as soon as like a bit of information pops out, or as soon as it's time to connect the dot, that's how we should be. Alert, boom, on it. And then with the noise, just like moving through life, right? Because that dog was greatly focused. It had its priority. Like, you know, it's fun to gallivant around, to enjoy, to go on vacation, and just let whatever is and just be. But when you're focused and you're trying to solve a problem, you can't solve the problem unless you hone in on the problem, find all the parts of it, and figure out how to rectify it. Figure out how it started, how to end it. But you can't do that if a bunch of noise comes in. So when I saw that dog do that, that's exactly where my brain took me. Because as my own life, you know, one kid's asking for one thing, there's a bunch of stuff going on, my phone is ringing, and I'm like, oh my God, here's the noise. And it never fails when it's an important conversation the family has to have. My husband's phone goes off, then mine does, then the home phone goes off, then the kids ask a question, then we get a bunch of emails, you know, then there's a knock on the door, and it never fails when it's super important. That's when all this outside noise comes in, and that's when you pay attention to that spiritual thing when you're on the right path, when you're trying to move a particular way. If you meet a bunch of resistance, not every time is it the universe saying maybe don't go this way. Sometimes it's to say this will help. We don't want to help, we want to cause chaos, and we're going to try to get you from doing what you need to do right now. So you have to learn to discern when it's actually something that impedes you from getting on the interstate at a particular time and you're running late, and then there was a crash ahead of you that you could have been in if you wouldn't have taken a while to get on the interstate. That's divine intervention, right? But sometimes it's not a divine intervention. Sometimes it's chaotic intervention in order to stop you from doing something that's very, very important and there's a task to do. And so I really love that. And then the other one is so on one email, it's the love poem. We can either do that one first or the one that has to do with having a conversation, an unexpected conversation. It's beautiful. It's what happened when a guy visited Japan, and he met a stranger, and it's just about meeting someone and having a conversation. It's so amazing that your brain, it evolves like for both people. They walk away with an experience that changes their trajectory in an amazing way, and in a way that helps them to connect deeper, helps them to have a deeper understanding, and helps them to be able to reach out to others to share that amazing experience without expecting, you know, compliance, without expecting someone to fall in your own path or demanding of someone. It's just a conversation where both people are open and you walk away feeling amazing. That's when you know it's amazing, because you don't walk away feeling pressured. You don't walk away feeling down or feeling like, oh my God, I got to do something. You walk away feeling inspired, where you can smile and you want to share it with as many people as possible because it was a beautiful experience. So that one in the love poem, because I wanted to end on beautiful things, because we're going into Memorial Day weekend. With that, there's a lot of bloodshed that's happened all over this world. There's a lot of pain and suffering that came from that. And there's a lot of family trauma that carried through with people who all they wanted to do was to protect. And so we need to have our minds right, and we need to bring beauty into the world this weekend. And we need to know that people are traumatized through all kinds of things that have happened ancestrally and in the last couple of years. And we need to have smiles on our face.
Let's do them in reverse order.
Sounds great.
Let's do the poem first.
Beautiful.
Okay.
We'd be perfect together. She said, because my heart met yours and opened a big welcome mat. Please come in, I said, hesitantly and scared. I'm sorry if it's a mess. I didn't have time to get prepared. Dishes in the sink, tear-stained notebooks, pens uncapped with dried ink, missed socks, dust bunnies in the air, unfolded laundry, a tangled mess of hair. Novels left scattered and suddenly wilted. The frames on my wall were all horribly tilted. And you walked in, took a look at what you found, and I patiently waited for you to turn back around. But instead you smiled, said, I love what you've done with the place, and then grabbed my hand when you saw the look on my face. You smiled even larger. Let's fill this place with laughter. And I said, but I should probably clean. You shook your head and said, after. And God, I laughed. I saw the windows open. I caught the exact second that I suddenly let open. And then I cleaned. As we danced in the room, you put away my laundry as I spun around a broom. New pens on the so you never stopped writing. Tears turned happy. Suddenly my heart is inviting. Suddenly there's growth, vines up walls. Suddenly I'm the person that texts and calls. And I say, but what about your heart? You've done so much for me. And I hear a noise filled with the utmost glee. My heart is the basement. My heart is the ceiling. My heart is the thing that you keep on stealing.
And that's for all of us to do for one another. Whether it's for love or just friendship, because sometimes someone is stuck and you jump in to help them get out of that and accept them as they are. You have to meet them where they are and you pull them out of what has caused such pain, and then they start to live again. So because we're going into a heavy weekend where there's lots of memories of sorrow and love, but on top of that, we've got a lot of people among us that are hurt or suffering or dealing with things that they don't know how to get out of. So they're stuck in ruts and they're in Groundhog Day over and over and over. So we need to look for new ways to try to approach those situations. And then the last one is this beautiful conversation this man had who was visiting Japan.
I want to underline what Amber just said. There are so many people who are suffering alone. We need to poke through our own little bubble and see each person at the supermarket or, in our that we pass along our daily path, and poke through our algorithms and everything else and reach out a physical hand and grab the person by the hand and say, let me hear your story. Let me entangle my field with your field for a few seconds. Okay, here we go with the TikTok, with the poem, the Japanese poem.
It's not a poem. It's a story about a man meeting someone on a bench. It's really great.
A beautiful park in Japan, in Shinjuku. It is 144 acres. I'm going to put the name on the screen so I don't butcher it by saying it. And I've explored a lot of it, at least. It's very large. I was like, I'm just going to sit. And I've passed it, but like I came to this section, which is called the Mother and Child Woods. And as I walked into this section of the park, I was like, I felt a little something. And I'm very sensitive to like feelings and pings and downloads, especially when I try to be aware, like genuinely aware of them. As I walked into this section of the park, I was like, oh, something special. I didn't know, but I just felt it. And I passed one bench and I saw this one, and it just like the way the sun hit it, I was just like, I'm going to sit for a while and just like think about life and contemplate and just like try and work through some shit, right? So I'm sitting here for a minute, and a sweet older Japanese man walks over and he says, can I talk to you? And I have to tell you, Justin Schumann in New York City would have been like, no, I have to go. I would have been so nervous. There's something about Japan that feels so calming, and I'll get to there in a second. I said, sure. So he sits down. He like is in a beautiful suit with a backpack on. I'm like, I am not in danger. And we're chatting, and he basically says he used to come to this park when he was a kid, and he hasn't been here in 10 years. And now he's 72, and today's the first time he's been back here. And I was like, wow. And how is it? And but he and pretty early on he said, do you come to this park often? I said, no, it's my very first time. And he said, oh, and what's your mother country? I said, the US. He said, oh, the US. What do you think of Japan? And I really wanted to be like very honest with my answer. So I took a moment and I said, there is a sense of community here. It all feels like one, and it's very clean. There's a large sense of community, and it's so clean. And he agreed, he concurred, hi. And he went on to talk about the US and how amazing it seems from the outside. He didn't say from the outside, but obviously this was a view from the outside. And that America is so great. And then he said, why are you so great? I said, wow, in what way? And he said, politically, economically, like the US is so great. And people from the US have so much confidence, which I thought was really interesting that was the word he used. And they're so likely to explore and go outside themselves. He said, the Japanese don't do that. We don't have that confidence here. We don't like to leave. So why do you think Americans are so confident? And I said, I think it's by necessity. In the US, you don't survive unless you know how to be yourself out loud. Of course you can get by, but you don't really thrive unless you can figure out how to fucking make yourself loudly known, because we're hyper individualistic and we're kind of out for ourselves. And there's a lot of loud people out there who don't really deserve to be taking up the space they do, but well, they're loud. And I said, I think in Japan, I wouldn't say that you don't have confidence, but since people grow up with this feeling of safety and unity, there's no need to not individualize, but create this performative large self. And he seemed semi-satisfied with that answer. We kept talking, and he shared with me that he takes English lessons, and he's been taking English lessons, and he's very proud that he can speak to foreigners. And it makes him very, very happy, which I was just like, the fact that by having a single conversation with this man made his day, made me happy. And I was like, wow, I knew I sat on this bench for a reason. And I really don't know why any of this made me emotional. I just think it was like something I needed. I don't know. He asked me, he kept talking about America and how he remembered Kennedy's presidency and all these amazing, great times. He asked me, what does America want for the future? I said, that's a big question. And he laughed. And I said, you know, the US feels very divided right now. So I think what most of us are hoping for is a future where we come back together. That's it. I don't know if we can hope or wish for much more until that happens. I said that there's a lot of anger and sadness right now in the US. And I said, how about you? And I said, here just feels happier. There's a sense of, I don't know, ease. Do you agree? Do you think Japan is happy? And he sat back and he said, I'm happy. And at the same time, I'm also sad. And I was like, oh, fuck. Put it so simply, sir. I mean, yes, sure. Who among us is not? Because he said that there are issues here that have been going on for a very long time because the history of Japan is so long. And he said, how do you say that the young people are going to have to deal with it? And I said, I think that's how generations work, right? Every next generation's job is to fix or work with what we were left, what we've got. I said, we've got a lot of work to do over there too, at home. And he thanked me and he told me how happy the conversation made him. We must have spoken for 7 minutes, maybe 8, like not even. And we shook hands and he got left. Such a big conversation in this very big park on this very small bench. Go see the world, y'all. Because sometimes you have to like get out of your house to realize that all over the globe we're dealing with the same shit. And it makes you feel really small in a really like correct way. Like the things that I'm dealing with right now, the things that are like weighing me down, that are on my heart. There's something comforting in knowing that they are not singular. Everyone's hurting. But you wouldn't know until you went across the world and had an honest conversation with a 72-year-old man on a bench.
All right. Very good.
Wow. So wow. I mean, just when I saw that, I had to watch it over and over because there was so much hidden wisdom. And again, did you catch they talked for 7 or 8 minutes? These are very important numbers.
In 8 minutes, you can change someone's
You're
life.
on mute. Carol, you're on mute.
Okay. I think part of the beauty of that conversation is that they were speaking, you know, the language wasn't totally familiar. So it was so simplified, you know, distilled in just profound ways. And that really struck me.
It was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to picture the Japanese gentleman's face.
It shows him at the beginning of the video walking off in the
Oh, that was
distance.
him.
So he caught him walking off and then immediately got out his phone because he was moved to do it. You could tell.
Mm-hmm.
But his explanation, if you listen to it a couple times, like it puts things into perspective in a way where it's easier to handle the division that we've got going on when you realize it's all over the world, because you don't think it's just right here. Like there's the weight of the world on your shoulder. No, the weight of the world is on everyone's shoulder. So because of that, that is a little lighter load for you, so you can do it. It's tough, but you are tougher because there's millions and millions of people holding up that same world. And when you go and you hear it from other people, you actually can tell, oh, wait a minute, we're all holding the world. We all have a piece to do. Ooh, this is a lot easier than that big old world I thought I was holding on my own shoulders, right? So it gives you that confidence in order to go tackle what you need to. And so to me, it was so inspirational. It was emotional, but it helped me go, wait, we got this. We have got this. Japan will get Japan. Germany will get Germany. You know, Iran will get Iran. Israel will get Israel. America will get America. We just need to heal our countries, and it needs to be done by our own countrymen, not people outside of the country, because they don't understand the culture. They don't understand the peoples. And we need to allow those countries to heal, but also those countries shouldn't be poking around in other countries till they heal their country. There shouldn't be this, let me help you when you're debilitated, right? So I think that that's the main thing. There's nothing wrong with each country caring about its people and focusing in on healing its people instead of trying to dominate. And when you know someone wants to dominate everything, their heart is in the right place because they don't care about the healing that needs to take place. And who would want to inherit or take control over traumatized people? That's insane. You're not going to get the results that you wanted to anyway, because everybody's so debilitated. It's a fractioned and disabled system that you'd be inheriting and fighting for, which is ridiculous. Every country needs to be able to heal themselves and find out who they are and help the next generation. And I think we've lost sight of that.
Well, I love the beginning when he just said we've been divided and we really need to come together. And it was just so simple. We're missing that. We're just so missing that.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got chaos right here. Leaf blowers, babies, dogs barking, whining. So
my rooster
built the chicken coop.
Yeah, my rooster's going, and my kids. I finally got home, and AAA came, and I got all the way home. But the rooster's going crazy, so I need to feed them.
Okay.
Okay, everybody.
Thank you
I was
all.
going to pick this up with the rest a little bit later. Thanks for coming to Protecting the Nest. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.